Okay, I'll call this meeting of the Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District Board to order, October 3rd, 2023. And we will find out who's here. Dave Garner, present.
Dave Whitman. Roger Wendell, present. Topics present.
And we have a quorum. Karen Morgan is absent this weekend, or this week, so in the planned event. I would say that's an excused thing for a special meeting. I also want to put in the record to apologize to Karen. I misunderstood a conversation I had with her where I thought she said I should chair the special meeting, and what she said to me was I could chair the special meeting. So I didn't need to do what I did to respond to Roger, but I saw we had a quorum. I thought that was appropriate to have the meeting, so I apologize to Karen for a misunderstanding. Are there any disclosures from directors matters? That was my disclosure. None. Moving on to 3. Approval or additions and deletions from the agenda.
We're going to delete item 2.
I would delete
Make a motion to delete item 2 from the agenda.
item 2.
Well, the gentleman,
Item 5B.
item 5B.
5B. Yeah, the meeting minutes.
5B, thank
Yeah.
you.
We all agree with that?
We need to vote.
Did I hear a motion?
I made a motion
Okay,
to
I'm
remove
sorry.
item 5B.
Second? Second. Mr. Rickman, seconds. Any discussion? All in favor? Carries unanimously. Public comments. Okay. For past motion of the Green Mountain Water Sanitation District Board of Directors on May 11th, 2021, members of the public wishing to address the board during the public comment period are asked to keep the comments civil and related to the items in the agenda or to the conduct of the district business. Members of the public wishing to address the board will be recognized by the board to maintain proper decorum. Since the Green Mountain Water and Sanitation District Board values your input, we always offer additional opportunities for the public to provide comment by using the district's email system or by phoning into customer service. In the event they do not get on during the meeting, during the period set aside for public comment. Is there anyone wishing to address the board or looking for hands?
It looks like the callers unmuted themselves, so they might be unsure how to raise their hand on their phone.
Oh, okay, that's probably a thing. The caller with the last 4 digits of 0973, if you wish to address the board, please do so at this time and let us know who you are.
Hi, good afternoon. Oh, it's evening. This is Ludmilla. My computer audio is all messed up, so you got lovely me on my telephone. Just wanted to say good evening. I hope everybody's doing good. I hope the president's all right. She's not there. You said she was out for the week, so we'll go from there. I was taken back on seeing a special meeting scheduled on such short notice, and then there was no agenda posted. I thought it might be an emergency. I want to thank everybody for getting back to me and telling me that it was going to be posted, and it was. Lo and behold, 2 months after initiating the district manager search, the board is starting from scratch again. I thought this was all taken care of and resolved. I think somebody dropped the ball big time. Green Mountain Water's engineering fees are so very high. Mr. Tyus was hired as a district manager with a substantial pay increase because of his engineering background. That was to reduce our high engineering fees, which he did not fulfill this obligation. And to my understanding, I'm not sure, our engineering fees never decreased while he was in service. There was also a discussion of hiring a part-time engineer. Green Mountain Water would benefit with a part-time engineer if we do not hire one as a district manager. as there would be no delays in signing off on big projects. I was also taken back by the vote last week, or what was the last meeting, September. I'm a little bit behind on times here. To hire the utility metering solutions company to do a job that Green Mountain Water's employees are paid to do. It's my opinion, and I do have opinions. It's a waste of money. I have one last comment, and I know you're not going to be happy with this one. I do not like to criticize anything because I've been on board, but I think there's more discussion than there is action in our meetings. I have one. The meetings seem to be dragging on with numerous questions that shouldn't be asked if each board member would review reports that were submitted and the agenda thoroughly before the meeting and not during the meeting. And like I said, I do not like to criticize, but I think that if the board members would look at the agenda and look at the reports giving to them, I think that would streamline a lot. Sorry about that. I didn't see anybody eating tonight, but I already had my dinner, so go ahead and eat. You guys take care. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. There are no other people in the room and no one else online, so I will close public comment and move on to 5. District manager search update. I assume nobody wanted to respond to,
Oh, just that you did hire a part-time engineer, and I've been on board for 3 months, and I will continue to serve at the board's pleasure.
Thank you. I guess I should have said that. Roger, it's your topic.
Yeah, I appreciate everybody meeting this evening. So my concern is that we haven't focused seriously enough on filling this position, mostly because of, I think, some indecision internally. So I've asked us to gather here tonight so that we can make sure we're all on the same page and we're conducting the search the way we'd like to and in the direction that we want to go. So I think where we're at is, in a previous meeting, we decided to use 2 other professional organizations to post the job there. And we had also, I believe we decided tentatively to hire a professional search firm to assist us in this. And I don't think we've done any of those 3 things
Would you like
yet.
me to address the professional search firm now?
Oh, yeah.
We did approve that. I was writing notes last time in London. And we did that. I have a copy of the retained search agreement unsigned by us, but signed by them, because it exceeds the authority you gave for me to negotiate, which was to do the deal and get it going, but not with $10,000 to $15,000 upfront, non-recoverable, and payment for 25% of salary if we hired somebody, as we had talked about, and that's in fact what the arrangement is. So I put this in my lower bin at home, which is where our trash goes.
I have to tell you, I guess I struggle with giving them money for a search that we don't even know they can come up with anything for.
I agree, and that's why I didn't move forward. I felt that what there was written in their agreement exceeded the authority I had, so I could not pursue it.
No, I appreciate
I
that.
didn't want to ask for.
I apologize. I don't want to
dispensation.
imply that we've been negligent. We've just
No.
been kind of undecided, and this certainly has contributed to that.
I think part of the issue is that we don't really necessarily yet know what we said to each other last month and the month before, because we don't have any minutes. You know, it's a compounding problem. We can't look back right now and say, did we say publish this in place X, or did we not? My memory isn't that good.
So
I thought we did, but you know, I'm probably wrong.
So the first question that comes to my mind is, if we can't use this firm, and it doesn't sound like a very good deal to me, do we have other professional firms we could rely on, you know, in this kind of environment, professional water engineers, that kind of thing? Are there other search firms that specialize in that? Do we know?
This was the only one I found that served both industry and government. Beyond that, I have not found any. I'm sure there are, I just have not found them.
Off the tip, off the top of my head, I don't know.
Would we all agree that we want to continue trying to find a professional search firm at this
Well,
point?
Did you by any chance mention to them at all or ask them about that upfront fee? I mean, I wonder if we just go back to them and say, hey, that does not work for us.
I did not say that.
Meaning if we find somebody in the meantime.
Well, no, but to me, I'm just saying,
Oh, the
hey,
upfront,
your
yeah.
risk is that, I mean, you're trying to find us somebody, right? So there's a risk involved. It's like if I sell real estate and I'm going out and I'm gonna list a house, I'm putting money into trying to find a buyer. I don't say, hey, give me 15 grand up front and then I'll try to find you a buyer. I mean-
That is my experience with recruiting.
They want money up front?
No, the opposite. My former
I thought it was
firm,
all contingent, yeah.
would, use them, time to time. And my personal experience is, yeah, if we found somebody in the meantime, too
They-
bad. Just
right.
Like you said,
Yeah, because we're rewarding someone for not even doing something,
exactly, yeah.
which, I mean, that's my viewpoint.
From their perspective, they are doing something and they're out there working and then they get no compensation because we went another direction. I mean, I get where.
Okay, well, let's go back to real estate. If I'm working with buyers and I haul them around to see 100 houses.
Yeah.
In hopes of getting that, I spent time, I've spent money, I've spent all kinds of stuff chasing, and then. Their Uncle Mike offers them his house that's next door at a good price, and they go with Uncle Mike. And you've just spent a year with them and you get zippity doo dah. It's a risk you take.
Mhm.
And to me, like I don't know why that bothers me, it bothers me. Maybe it doesn't bother you guys, but it bothers me.
Well, that's why I didn't go any further. I'd be happy to go out and look for another firm. I have some contacts within SDA. Who clearly done this before, but I didn't have any authority from the board to go do that search, so.
I could reach out to my former firm and, source some names.
That'd be great.
Yeah. And that might, at some point, that might be a segue in, I will take ownership of slow playing, contacting the professional engineering societies. There's some rationale, for that. One of which I did immediately pick up on different, vibes from board members. That actually occurred the first meeting I was, on board as the district engineer, which would have been the July meeting, and I said, yeah, I could do that. But when I came on board, that was within a week or two of me coming on board. Then as I picked up different vibes from board members. Also, I became more familiar with the difficulties of the district manager position. And when I said last month, that the job, part of the job, the district manager is to take the slings and arrows of the board. I wasn't just being a wise acre. That was sincere feedback. And so I felt a little uncomfortable, quite frankly, being part of the recruiting process. So yeah, I have slow played that. And I realized then all of a sudden that became one of the reasons that this was being,
Delayed?
It was one of the reasons it was being delayed. I didn't realize it was the reason, in fact, but it became, it obviously became a major deal. So yes, I own that. And upon the completion of this meeting and where we go with it, I'd be willing to do that now. So I don't want there to be a bone of contention.
Oh, we appreciate it, Mike. It isn't. I'm just feeling a little bit desperate because the position has been vacant so long, regardless of these various reasons. I'm hoping tonight we can come to a decision as to these professional organizations, maybe a professional search firm, and then get focused and go.
Yeah. I'd like to see if you guys would agree with me. I want to just kind of summarize where we are for public benefit. We have been looking, we have received resumes, we did many of the things we did last time in our search. And my recollection is it was the consensus of the board that we did not yet have the quality of resumes that we would like to have to meet the need of the position.
I agree.
That's all accurate with one exception. We did vacillate at one time between emphasis on engineering and emphasis on management. We've got plenty of management applications.
True statement.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't want anybody in public to think that we have been sitting on our hands. Because if it ain't broke, don't fix it, because we got a great guy who's filling the chair at the moment. But he wants to go somewhere else.
Well, I wanna, I wanna to spend time doing something else. And, to Lou Mills' comment, she's brought it up a couple of times. I've heard some board members. And, but I've had a chance to talk to some of you. You could hire, an engineer with as much experience as I came on with, or an entry level professional engineer. And again, I'm make sure you understand what that is. It's not somebody that just calls himself an engineer or has a degree. There's a process and internship and so forth. Multiple 8-hour exams that you.
Sorry, you're saying analogous.
I'm saying the PE, so when, just be sure we're saying PE. My point being entry level or, somebody with 40 years experience, anywhere in between, you will still need consultants. Just like you're not looking to hire an in-house, general counsel. You will still need consulting engineers. And the 3 months I've been here and the 2 more months I plan to be here, part-time, I will continue to use consulting engineers. So there's a unicorn. I'm sorry to be a wiseacre again. There's a unicorn you're looking for that you're gonna hire somebody with a PE, and all of a sudden you're not gonna need consulting engineers. Consulting engineers come to the table with specialized equipment, specialized hardware, specialized software. They have other people within their organization that can provide additional services. So having one guy having a PE does not mean he can do all the engineering. And I've said that and I'll continue to say that. If you find somebody that has a PE, awesome, that would be great. That would be a skill set that would be of, and hopefully I've brought some of that, having that in-house skill set, but I don't stamp or sign
The plans here.
the plans here, yeah. Anyway, enough of that. You get the point, but awesome if you hire somebody with a PE, but the myth that you hire that person and all of a sudden you're not gonna need consultants is
Not true.
not true.
So I've been processing this over the past couple of weeks. And I mean, to maybe feed off a little bit of Roger, but I guess as I've been putting this together in my mind, couple things. One, I think if we did find the right engineer that say has, the skills, obviously the project management skills, but also, I mean, we're looking for someone in that is here to manage people, that is here to deal with developers and deal with other things. And so it's not just dealing with a civil engineering or dealing with engineering. That's not what they're doing. And so I guess I've thought back even to like the beginning of Green Mountain Water. So in Green Mountain Water in whatever 1962 or 60 when it came about, you had the people that came to work here. They were just putting in all these lines, mostly for probably Hutchinson Homes, the majority of everything that went on here for 40 years. With mixed other stuff in there, but things were pretty safe. Things went along and there wasn't a lot of contention. There was not a lot of dissension amongst people in the community. And I'll just give a simple explanation. I'll just use schools. So like when Hutchinson came in, they set aside ground, they built schools, they did all kinds of things that now, today, developers don't do that. We do the in lieu of. So they get a bargain compared to what developers in the past had to do, a super bargain, actually. And so my thinking is, I think there's two components here. I think there is literally the running the district, civil engineering, project management, getting all that done. And sadly, I think there's the administrative and now these days somewhat political component. Like it's not just, we're not just dealing with, you know, everybody that's happy-go-lucky. We have huge, you know, $100 billion corporations that are suing us, telling us that their land that was only $3 million is worth $53 million. You know, if we were to just give them things. Well, to me, the person sitting in the seat here, they aren't just doing management of this district. They're literally having to deal with attorneys and lawyers and developers, and not that people in the past didn't, but not in a contentious matter. I mean, in the past, I'm sure it was more drawing things up and just getting them written up. Today, I mean, people are trying to get, and I guess I shouldn't say people, we'll just use developers. Developers, they want to get all they can for the least they can. And they, not being like, I'll just use Hutchinson again. Right, as fast as they can. So like Hutchinson's lived here. These people lived in this community. They were around this community, right? And they were invested in it. A lot of the developers we have today are not. And they don't have to be. They're just, it's a profit center. And so to me, our overall fiduciary duty is to not only, I mean, watch over and safeguard this district, our constituents, the costs. There's a lot more components that have become more complex than what they were 50 years ago. And so I'm not actually opposed to, and I guess I've thought this more of watching Mike here, of even having two different people, of having an engineer that maybe does a lot more project management, and although having a manager, which costs us money, but someone that gets to deal with the administrative side and a lot of the political and answering and doing things that, I mean, because we're asking a person in today's climate to kind of be in everything. He is right. It's kind of a unicorn. We're wanting them to have all this specialty information that they may not have. And unless we probably hired some district manager from another water district that literally knew all of this stuff, and we don't seem to be having people flooding our emails and our ads with, wanting to leave District A to come to Green Mountain Water District. I mean, I'm not so sure that we don't necessarily need potentially two people.
That's a significant change from where you were.
It is.
Yeah,
And I've watched, like I said, so
appreciate
I've watched, to me, I guess I've appreciated with Mike watching the project management side of things. And then I think of Jeff Tyus and the stuff that he was bombarded with. And then I hear Mike talk about stuff he kind of gets bombarded with. And there's a lot of different moving parts here, more than used to be.
Yeah.
I don't think in the old days we had, the complexity of what we're dealing with today. And so, if we can find that one unicorn, that'd be great with me. If we can have one person that can do it all, that's super duper for us. If we had to go to two people, I'm actually at this point, I wasn't probably the last time we did it with Jeff. I don't think I would have done that. I am more willing to go down that path because it just seems like we are dealing with more development issues, political issues, more issues than we've ever dealt with. And one person, I'm not sure anymore it's a one person job. I would like if we found somebody, that's great, but I'm not sure it is.
Yeah, I'm not even sure we can compensate anybody well enough to have to put up with all the legal stuff.
Well, I'm just saying, I think it's almost like a two component thing.
Well, there was a period of time when I was almost convinced that, we could do project manager kind of thing and have that person be the director. district manager rather, and, not worry about the engineering part. We let that developers do their thing, work with JVA or whoever the engineering company was. It was helping us understand that. But we didn't have anybody who worked for us on the board as an
No.
engineer who can say, hey, this is, caca, these guys don't know what they're doing. They might design well in, New Mexico or Texas, but, you can't do that here because. But I don't know that gets any closer to Roger's question, that answer to it. Probably not.
I myself haven't changed much on this. I have a lot of respect for the engineering aspect of all of it. But I'd like to see the emphasis placed on management and then relying on contract engineers to help us with the rest of it. That's kind of how I felt for the past half year.
Would you be willing to let JVA be the only company that was giving
No,
us
not at
engineering
all.
advice? You would, and 3 companies or 4 companies or whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to rely on as many as possible. And maybe possibly hire an engineer part-time if such a thing is possible.
And I will have something to present at the regularly scheduled meeting next.
I mean, do you think there are potential retired engineers or say either a spouse, whether a man or a woman whose other, their spouse has a significant enough job that they would want to work part-time and dabble here as opposed to wanting a full-time position?
I chatted with you a bit about this, Todd,
Right.
and I said, don't overemphasize that, I'm ready to leave because of taking the slings and arrows from the board. The specific board members, but don't underestimate that either. At one time I was actually thinking maybe if I went to 20 to 30 hours a week, I could do this and maybe take on the district manager role. And I talked to Doug about it, and I even talked to Karen about that. But that was 2 or 3 weeks into the job, and then I soon realized, I'm not sure, I guess I'm just talking about my personal view that, I was in that role and maybe to the point where I would have, taken on the job of district manager even. And then I realized that wasn't something I wanted to do.
So from a time standpoint, okay, so if this what, like month 3, month 2.5, or how long you roughly?
Right at 3 months.
Okay, 3 months. So at 3 months,
A little more even, yeah.
from a time standpoint, do you think one person could do all of this?
No.
Just out of curiosity.
Well, there's 2 parts to answer. Right now, I'm working maybe an average of 15 hours a week, which is right in that strike zone. But more to the point, I think about it, 24 hours,
Okay,
7. And so my family is saying, all of a sudden you're coming home crabby like you used to when you were. True story.
well, I
And
understand.
so,
completely.
and then that said, I've talked to a couple board members. Maybe I won't just go riding off into the sunset. Maybe I can still have a role, perhaps as a consultant and not an employee, but still being a district
Right,
resident, ratepayer.
right.
All that I bring to the table.
So does having a separate manager and an engineer, is that overkill? Could that be balanced?
A couple of thoughts there. One is that, when we find that right individual that has 15, 20, 25 years of experience, they're gonna have dealt with engineers. They're gonna know how to write RFQs, SOQs, for engineering firm. They're gonna know how to read and interpret the reports and so on and so forth. So I think when we find that right person, that person is going to already be experienced dealing with engineers in my opinion.
Okay. But what about the stuff, like all the requests, the management stuff, the dealing with the developers and the requests, is that the engineering function or is that a management function?
It should start with the manager and then there is a role change I see there. And perhaps up through and including Jeff Tyus, it was handed strictly to the consulting engineer for Merrick for decades. They just did it. Everything from what's the tap fee amount, all the recommendations to the point where Merrick was signing off and saying, you're good to go. And that obviously that ran its course with Merrick. However we got here, we're here. JVA is not working out. We've talked about that a couple of times. It's not because I question their competence, but their response has been terrible. As you know, we're going to interview a couple of firms tomorrow. And then ultimately, and then I'll make a presentation to the board at the regular meeting Tuesday. It's to our recommendation.
Right.
And so Todd has graciously agreed to be part of the team that interviews a couple of firms that we've shortlisted, as well as myself and some of the GM admin guys.
What's the makeup of the district manager position in the neighboring and adjacent districts? If you know, just.
It's interesting you asked that. There's recently we've been working with Bear Creek because of the what we call the Bear Creek lining project, which overlaps with their district. And Jan has been there for many years. I'm not sure if I'm really zeroing in on your question, Dylan.
To the extent that there is a division between the management and the engineering and like the professional qualifications.
100%, just based on my experience, and it's why I stick to my recommendation. And I mean it. Almost all districts, and to a large extent, municipalities, airport authorities, their managers do just management, and they use consulting engineers and they'll have often have one engineering firm that they will designate as their district engineer, just like they designate somebody as the district attorney. That 100%, that's ultimately my recommendation. And I've repeated it, and I'll continue to repeat it. Ultimately, you should go.
When we find someone that's consistent, an engineering firm that's consistent.
Yes. That you like, that you trust, they're out there. I know I made a career of it myself, mostly municipalities, counties, but some water and sand districts too, and airport authorities. In fact, with airport authorities, quite often the managers were retired senior Air Force officers. So if they can, I'm about to be a wiseacre again, but if I could deal with retired senior Air Force officers, engineers can deal with anybody. I mean, a bit of a.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
They're a handful.
Indeed.
Yeah, I don't really know though that we have to change anything we have in our job description, because I think it covers everything. We can look at a resume and say, this matches what we're looking for. This doesn't match. And just, we're looking for the unicorn.
Right.
And I'm still holding out hope that there may be one or two other applicants that are waiting to see whether or not this board is congenial and able to be worked with. You guys have encountered that with the staff. I mean, I try to say it every time I can, but this isn't the old board. This is guys who give a damn and care as much about them as we do our customers. And I just think there's a lot of history that people bring up, but not that this board doesn't bring it up. We're moving on.
There is if I might, Dave, there is a employee that I've approached because I think he would be an outstanding candidate. I would recommend him in a second. I would bet the board would approve, but
We can only deal with the resumes before us.
Yeah, we can only deal with the resumes before us, exactly. And he's been hesitant, as much as anything, just that bringing on that extra level of responsibility and time constraints and that home
Balance.
work balance is his concern.
We all screw that up.
Yeah,
Or somebody would be thinking about that at the beginning of the process. It's certainly refreshing to me.
right.
As opposed to being ego driven, I just want a bigger job, bigger paycheck,
Yeah.
bigger title. That's kind of nice. I mean, whoever it is, I hope he or she comes forward and impresses the heck out of us.
He or she is listening to us as we speak.
Okay. Got it.
I have some questions.
Sure.
Okay. Now, as far as what have we done so far as far as trying to get applications? I know we put something on our website. What have we put any job notices on the SDA website?
I believe we did the SDA,
AWWA.
AWA, and we also went to, I believe, Indeed, in addition to the website. And we've received probably, I have to guess at the moment, maybe 12.5 applications so far. So we've received quite a few applications.
From those sources?
Yes, from those sources.
Now, I would know someone. I was doing a little emails. There's a group over here on Union called the can't read my glasses, Special District Management Services, Inc. Have we had any contact with them?
Not that I'm aware of.
And I suggest we might try talking to them, see if they have something. Then I think there's another company over there as well. There's two of them that are on Union that seem to be in this line of business.
So they're just consultants.
I don't really know.
Yes, one of those I'm familiar with. I say I'm familiar with. It's been a number of years, but there was some districts that my firm was providing consulting services, and they acted as the district manager as a consulting basis. I mean,
Yeah, they filled a position from within their resources on a temporary basis, not as a resource.
Yeah, and I think you've done that before.
Yes.
Or the district has done that before.
Twice.
Twice. Yeah.
So what I was hoping for when I requested this meeting is that we agree on an exact path. Whatever these firms are, or these other professional organizations, professional headhunter, doesn't matter to me at this point what we do, as long as we decide and we all agree. So if we want to pursue these two organizations that you're suggesting, a couple of the other professional organizations, maybe,
And somebody said LinkedIn, which I think is probably a pretty good idea, actually. That would be something that professionals in the water wastewater industry would see that maybe that Indeed or the other places.
and after tonight, I'll quit bringing this up, but because I feel there should be less emphasis on the engineering aspect of the job, I'd like to see the title changed to district manager.
Well, I thought that was the title.
No, it's an extended title.
Okay, going to that subject matter, it does strike me as a good idea to checks and balances. I don't want to put too much power as it was in one person. So the idea of having a manager and having an engineer, so you got two different people working together is probably better than putting it all on one person. That being said, my impression talking with Karen, and it kind of makes sense, is it would make it would make things perhaps smoother if our manager had some skills, as opposed, like say, hiring me would be kind of worthless. But like I have two daughters that graduated from mine, and they have their PEs, and it's like my impression is, and of course one of them was on the board. Well, they just cost more money. But, you know, we don't necessarily need a PE, but it would be good if somebody had some knowledge and skills and experiences working with engineers. So, because I think at one point you mentioning somebody worked for Dairy Queen or something like that, and somebody who might be a really good manager. Well, it'd be kind of nice if they had some experience with engineering, so it's like I recognize a screwdriver versus a hammer sort of thing. And so I agree, we probably don't want to make them a PE because then of course they're just way too expensive. But if we got somebody who's got some engineering, so they can be a good oversight of engineering, I think that's kind of the mix that Karen was looking for. And that part makes sense to me. So as far as what's in the title, if we were sit there saying district manager, that's what you always have. But you sit there and say, we can give preference to, and you know, it comes to weighting scores and stuff like that, because you have a salary range. And if you've got somebody who's got some experience with engineering and stuff like that, well, we're more likely to hire them. We're more likely to give them a higher salary. And that's part of the process of seeing what all our options are. At this point, I'm thinking you cast the wide net, try to bring in as many as you got and see who's got the best balance. It's like nobody is probably perfect except for me, but you know, it's like, and you see what you got and work with that. So I don't have any problem removing the engineer from the job title. But I think it would probably be nice to say that preference would be given to as much engineering background as you got. And not a PE, but you know, some experience.
I wanted to clarify one thing that Karen clarified in a group email for the benefit of the public. I'm not the gatekeeper here. I just happen to be the person that was collecting the resumes. But, you know, I just want to make that clear. I'm not the decider. But I did request this meeting to make sure we could decide tonight on which way to go with this, because it's gone on for a long time.
Is there anybody who wants to leave the job title as it is now?
Well, what is it?
District manager, program manager. Slash.
Yeah, and again, my point being, when we find that right person, that person is gonna have 15, 20, 25 years experience in the water wastewater industry, and they will have dealt with engineers. That right district manager will come with that skill set in my opinion.
I have no
based on my
problem just
experience.
making it the district manager.
That's what everybody else does, so that kind of makes sense.
I move that we change the title to district manager.
I will second it.
Second from Todd. Any further discussion, or should we take the vote? All in favor?
I,
Okay.
Passes unanimously, 4-0. Is there anything else we can do to make the process better? Any holes you see?
Other than just deciding tonight, what organizations do we want to go with?
I'm good with everything that's been mentioned. I wouldn't want to leave any of them out if we can.
So the
I don't think
decision
we-
then,
so the only new one I've heard was LinkedIn.
Yes.
And the professional
And,
organizations.
Oh, okay.
National Society of Professional Engineers and
And,
American Society of Civil Engineers.
and the two that Dave mentioned.
Yeah, the two of them up on Union.
You hired me to make recommendations. I would not use a run a manager. I know that's a
Well-
derogatory term.
Well, I honestly, I don't know these companies, so I don't know what they,
Yeah.
but they might be a sort of thing, it's like, maybe they know somebody that,
I don't think it hurts to call and ask the question.
yeah.
That isn't committing us to hiring somebody
Okay,
with that.
thank you for that
calling
clarification.
and
This is
finding
just
out.
networking.
Got it.
Yeah, putting a resume out is networking. It encourages people to tell their friends and so forth.
Good, thank you for clarifying.
My impression when I was looking at all I got is the website, it's like, kind of looked like they were small organizations like HOAs and stuff like that. It's like, well, we have 400 people and we have somebody mowing the lawn. Well, they had a couple water districts that seemed pretty small. So my sense was their manager would probably not full-time 40 hours a week on one project. It's like, oh, I have 20 projects and I spend a couple hours with each project.
Mhm.
And, you know, when I was with an HOA, it's like you hire a management company that does that. Well, they're not
Exactly.
fully committed to you. They're doing all sorts of other stuff.
My-
Well, there are
that's
certain
my point.
advantages to that, certain disadvantages, but it might be the sort of thing, it's like, hey, we know some people that might match what you want. They can end up being like a headhunter for us.
Sounds like we got some clearer direction already.
Yeah, so I think what we're in general agreement on, and we can certainly move if needed. LinkedIn, National Society of Professional Engineers, American Society of Civil Engineers. And then do we want to revisit that professional recruiter that was going to charge 15K up front? Or do we have another possible recruiter or two that we could consider?
Well, if the other recruiter would just take their fee away, I would be okay with it, but I just don't want to pay them up front when, to me, I'm not saying they wouldn't go try to find somebody, but say if someone makes $130,000 a year, so my math would be that would pay them about 30,000 in a commission. If we already gave them 15, we've already given half their incentive. So they could just go out and buy a used car and go down the road and say, hey, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks for nothing.
If somebody wants to make a motion to give me the authority.
I would like to make a motion that we sign we go back to the professional management organization. I'm willing to accept the 25% of the salary, but I'm not willing to pay an upfront fee.
It was 25%.
I believe that's what Dave said.
My experience, 25 to 30 is typical, and again, my experience is along the lines of what you're asking for, Todd, is that they only get paid if and when
Right.
they
They produce the person.
yeah.
Because you may recall the organization that I was in contact with, that I work with as a volunteer elsewhere, was willing to do this for us for $45,000. So that I think that,
It's about the same ballpark.
yeah,
I'll tell you, when I did this as an adjunct to my other business and found people who were hired by general counsel corporations across the country, I got $500. And the company I worked for got 100,000.
Crazy.
And who did all?
You should have renegotiated.
That was my first experience. The second, third, and fourth time I got better.
I understand.
I stopped giving them my best people too.
Does anyone want to second my motion?
no, I'll second that, sure.
Any further discussion?
So we're,
What was the motion?
The motion is that we go back to the professional, employment, the finders, the personnel finder. And I've just given Dave permission to go back and say, we're willing to go with 25%, but we're not willing to pay an upfront fee. So I want to do away with the fee, but then offer them the contract just on a flat percentage.
So we're looking at doing some parallel paths here.
Yeah.
Well, it does make sense, don't put all your eggs in one basket, matter of fact, it won't be a bad idea to have a third and fourth option. Because the idea of we choose one option, we play it out for 2 or 3 months, is really dragging us out. And we could have a couple of feelers out there, and then we have a wealth of choices to choose from.
well, what's helpful here is we have a meeting in a week. And maybe most of this we'll have an answer to by then, then we can make another decision to move in a different direction if needed.
Yeah, it's probably good we had this meeting.
So do we
So
need to vote on my
Yeah.
motion?
I'll call a question. All in favor? I will, not vote on this since I'm the guy doing it.
Okay.
How do I vote? Just
It's not a
Abstain.
technical, it's not a technical conflict.
not a technical conflict. Okay, four passes unanimously.
okay, so Mike, will you be able to look into the 2 professional organizations and LinkedIn? And then I'd have to ask Sam and Jesse if they make sure that my coveted title change. Okay, thank you.
And
And frankly, I'll task what we're to Sam and Jesse.
Yeah, that's fine. That's-
I'll source the name, but they'll be the ones that'll post the job offering.
And they can certainly, they've been free to contact me all this time if they have any other questions, or you can give me a call.
And I think Jesse will need to contact you to get some of the login information for the various websites.
Okay,
Just one more addition to Mike's task list. Please contact whoever you're talking to and remind them that, still opportunity exists to put in a resume.
I agree.
You did something about a former employee?
No, a current employee.
Boy.
it would be great to promote from within, if they're.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, we love that, yeah.
yeah, we've always mentioned that. I thought they just told us all that.
Well, I
No,
think they're getting to know us better,
it's a maybe. And that individual's waiting to see how this meeting turns out.
Okay,
Well, I would encourage them
Yeah, hopefully they'll apply.
to apply.
For whatever it's worth, this answers most of the questions I came to the meeting with, so.
Josh, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Would you like to comment? There's no reason to beat around the bush. I approached you, a while ago and, strongly.
I don't know, are we allowed to do that?
I don't know.
Well,
Or no?
you are obligated to make promotional opportunities known to current employees. Probably wouldn't recommend indicating that there's any preferential hiring.
Okay,
I think we said enough.
agreed, understood. Thanks for
Yeah.
saving me from myself.
Just another employee talking to employees.
Indeed.
Yeah, trusted one. And probably why I don't wake up in the morning worried about where we're gonna find a district manager, because you're doing all the stuff that I would want one to do.
But I wanted to add too, Mike, you've done a great service for us these 3 months. We are thankful you're here.
Well, thank you for your kind words.
Yeah.
And how soon are you leaving?
But there were a couple of delays. We'll get through all of this. No
Oh,
problem.
well, and then in the meantime, it is a well-run district. This is not, like I've said before, it's more important that we find the right person as opposed to, okay, we can cross that off our to-do list.
Yeah, that's important.
So this might be an inappropriate time for this, but I probably should have said it's beginning discussion, but it just prompted my head, so. I came over for a luncheon for an employee that was retiring. And while I was here, the employees that worked on the main break that was over that whole weekend, and you wrote those letters to, those were passed out to them. And I actually think they truly appreciated that, so you
Oh,
know.
glad.
And so that was good to see them get recognition for what they had done.
And, just to make it clear, I went to the board president to make sure that I could author those and sign on behalf of the board, so I was glad to do.
Okay, well, I just wanted to let you know.
I think that'd be a great thing to sort of have a rotation for us to do it. Just you do it one time, somebody else does it another time. We just make sure we all stay engaged with the staff. Cause it, does get a little impersonal if we just see these four walls. Don't get to talk to the guys. Anything else with this subject?
Answered all my questions. I appreciate that.
In that case,
I make a motion to,
we have 6 new business, not quite yet.
oh, okay.
All right. Any new business? I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Our next meeting will be next Tuesday at 6, I think.
That'll work.
That'll work, okay,
Thank you.
okay. Yeah, I didn't see too much blowback from that.
I will make a motion, we adjourn the meeting this evening.
Is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're done. Thank you, gentlemen. 1 hour.
Thank you very much, though.